Hello everyone, welcome you all to OpenFeature Summit Europe 2025. That's a part of KubeCon London 2025. Today we have a talk for Flag-tastic and fearless future flags meets Kubernetes for deployments that sing. So this is all about feature flags, how OpenFeature is helping for your Kubernetes deployment and making them sing. Before we jump to the talk, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Aditya Soni, a DevOps Engineer 2, working at Forrester. Before this, I was working at Red Hat. I'm one of CNCF ambassador, speaker, mentor. Apart from this, like I am being a AWS community builder, leader, and I'm doing a lot of open source community contribution through community and more. We have Anshika with us. So over to you, Anshika.
Hello everyone, my name is Anshika Tiwari and I have been working as a CSA in Amazon Web Services. Apart from this, earlier I was working as a DevOps engineer in RoboMQ, where I have worked upon various open source tools such as CI/CD, Kubernetes, Prometheus, and many more. Also, I have been contributing to the open source community through talks, mentorship, and collaboration. So let's move forward and let me walk you through the roadmap of the Flag-tastic features. So, first of all, we will be discussing the problem with the traditional deployment. So, what is the actually problem that we face while we have a feature that we want to deploy and make it available to entire of our clients and users or to a specific group of users or clients? We will be seeing what are feature flags and how they help us to resolve the traditional problems. Moving forward, we will meet the open feature, the open source to our flag, which will help us to identify how we can move forward with open feature and can overcome all the problems that we were facing earlier. Also, why open feature is gaining so much of traction over the past 2 years? What is the reason? What are the main points? We will also move with open feature terminologies. There are many more, such as evolution API, context, and more. Also, we will move through the architecture where we will be putting all together Kubernetes, ArgoCD, and open feature and see how it all syncs together. Also, we have made a demo where we will make you see how all these things can contact with each other and how they communicate with each other. So yes, see ya, and let's move forward. What is actually the problem with the traditional deployment? So let's suppose there is a code that we need to deploy and we have deployed that code successfully to the production. It is running fine, each and every user is happy and everything seems to be fine. But then suddenly we have a requirement where we need to add a feature to a smaller group of user. For an example, we need to add a feature for a people living in the Europe. Now what we need to do we need to make some changes in the code? There will be, or we need to add some if statement, else statement. We need to add the user's ID living in the Europe. Do we need to do all that stuff? Doesn't it sound stressful? Yeah, it does sounds to me. So now there are many problems that we traditionally face while deploying the code to the production, and one of them is all or nothing rollout. So what happened when we have new versions and we want that versions to go live for everyone or for no one? So what happened, like as I mentioned earlier, we have a piece of feature that we need for a specific group of user, and if we are unable to do that, then what we are left with, either we deploy that code for the entire group of user or with no one else. So yeah, that sounds too sad to me also. And if we move forward, we can see that there is issue of rollback. So what happen or redeploy? So if there is something that is broken, let's suppose you have deployed some feature and that doesn't seems to be working fine, you need to roll back the entire features that you have deployed. Something broke and roll back whole deployment rather than just the feature that is not seems to be working fine. And it can be seen that blast radius is also too wide. So if just a single bad feature is there, doesn't mean everything should go down. Doesn't mean our production system should go down. As just suppose you have deployed 100 of your features and it is just a single feature that doesn't seems to be working fine, and because of that all of your 100 features need to be rolled back. Is it sounds worthy? Doesn't it sounds that your whole uh, uh, efforts is just completely wasted? It does to me. So it is the fear, it brings the fear of production eventually. As we can see that in entire organization or in many of the organization, we have a mindset to deploy our code at a time when there would be a lesser traffic or a lesser user must be interacting with the code. Is it right or not? Why is it so? It is just because we are so afraid that our feature might not work for the users, we might fail. So what is better? It is better to experiment, right? But we are afraid of that experiment. We are afraid of that we can't do the alpha beta experiment. We cannot test that version for some group of users and then validate whether it is working fine or not. If it is, we can eventually let that feature for each and every users. So yeah, this is actually there are many problems we face while going with the traditional deployments. As we can also see in traditional deployment, what happens? Our engineers write the source code, they perform some of the testings, they work hard on that, and eventually that is deployed plus released. What does it mean? That your end user can see whatever feature is there, whatever feature has been released. But with the feature flag, we can control that. And we can control that with just a toggle. How can we do that? Similarly, as our engineer would write the code would be tested, the code can also be deployed, but we can control it from getting released with a single toggle. For an example, just suppose there is this Christmas Eve and there are some products that are going to get live. There are some features that you want to enable just for a Christmas Eve. What you can do? You can, it might be possible the code is ready, you can deploy the code a week earlier, but you can control it from being live, from being so that people can access that feature with just a toggle. So that just before a day on 24th of December you can just enable a single toggle and waha, it is just live to all of your users. That's all. That's how the feature flag helps to overcome the problems with the traditional releases. Now, as we observed that feature flag help us to overcome all our traditional problems. But what actually is feature flag? Feature flag is a technique of software development through which we can enable or disable a feature without modifying the source code or requiring a redeploy. What does it mean? That you need not to actually make changes in your entire source code and then again you need to deploy it. No, you need not to go with all that hassles. It's just a toggle you need to use to on and off as a switch in our homes. So it is exactly like you are building a shopping platform and want to gradually roll out recommended products and features to your smaller group of users. You do not want to make it live for your entire users. Doesn't it sounds interesting? Forward we can see that the feature flags, how the feature flags work for the users. This lets you deploy the new feature without making them visible to the users, or you can make feature flag visible only to a smaller specific subsets of user and environment, or basis on the basis of their either geographic locations or on the basis of the percentage, how many percentage of people do you want to access your feature. as he, Moving forward we can see that if you want your feature to be available for only 10% of the people, as you are not sure enough whether it would be working fine, you need to test on smaller percentage of your users. The feature flags works best for you. How? What you can do, you can eventually your deploy your feature for a smaller group of user, test on them, just get the matrices, as by doing so you will get the data driven results. Isn't it sound interesting? You will get actually the results of whether people are liking your feature or not. So there is an option, either you can stop there and just roll back that single feature, or you can gradually increase the percentage from 20, 30, 50 to 100, making it available for an entire group of users and clients. So this is how the feature flags help you to control your production. So now let's meet the open feature, the open source way to the flag. Open feature flagging is an open source framework that allows developer to manage feature flag across multiple platforms in a standardized way. So when I say standardized way, what does it mean? Standardized way leads to that you can use this open feature for a variety of languages such as Java, Go, Python, and many more, even on a wide variety of platforms. Open feature is a part of CNCF incubating project. So it moved to the sandbox in year 2022, and it moved from sandbox, it moved to incubating to in 2023. So just within 1.5 years, it has gained so much of traction over all the organization. So yes, it is a useful tool. As it the first commit, we can also see that the first commit was made in the February 2022. Moving forward, let's see why open feature is gaining so much of traction over the past 2 years. So, what is let's see what is cross platform support. As I mentioned earlier, open feature provide a universal API for feature flagging, enabling teams to manage flags consistently across different programming languages, environments, and platforms. This removes the need for customer solutions or switching between various tools. So yeah, it seems to be pretty quite friendly, right? Now, it also enables us a better control over releases. Feature flagging helps mitigate the deployment risk by decoupling develop deployment and releases. You can push the code to the production without enabling the feature immediately, so that the users can access it later. And by the time you can just test them. This provides the flexibility to test and validate new feature in a real world environment before fully committing to them. And as eventually through this you can enable a granular experimentation also. With open feature, running experiments and the alpha beta test is also easier. You can just toggle a feature based on your demographic locations, environments, or other criteria. This allow you to make data-driven decisions and improve the product quality based on a user feedback, which eventually also help you with the safer rollouts. Feature flags are perfect for rolling out changes in stages, whether you are deploying to a smaller group of users or gradually ramping up exposure. Flags make it easy to control who sees what, reduces the risk of large scale failures, so that you can happily and without any fear deploy your feature to your clients. It also helps with the simplified debugging and monitoring, as with the open feature integrates well with the monitoring and observability tools. This gives you a better insights into how your feature flag perform in production. With this information, you can quickly identify the issues and make informed decisions about the flag configuration. So yeah, let's move forward and see how what are the open feature terminology. So I will ask Aditya to guide you further with the terminologies.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Anshika, for going through us for the feature flags, for our open feature flagging, and a lot more stuff. So next one is evaluation API. So that's a part of, I would say, the open feature tooling. So maybe we will discuss later like how open feature works, but let's discuss how like evaluation API do work. So evaluation API do work like basically it allows the application or SDK to evaluate the flag. So let's say today you have evaluate a boolean flag, or maybe you're using a string or number that goes as a true or false. So with the help of open feature, what happens is, like, let's say you are a user to the application, you have passed a flag, maybe you have enabled it, and after a time it will just go and check to the feature flag system, and it checks the value of that. So whatever evaluation is happening, that first the interface that it touches is the evaluation API. So that's how it gets the value, and if feature flag is on, you get the results over the application sides. So that's what the evaluation API is. If we move forward, we do have evaluation context. So it's similar to the evaluation API, but at the same time it do have a lot of more stuff to it. So maybe let you can think of it, let's say you have some data, let's say user information, you want to have environment details, and as before we discussed, let's say there's a feature you want to only showcase to users based out of Europe. Okay, so how you will do that? So in the application you will be selecting a particular location, let's say Europe, and at the same time you need to enable that particular feature flag to the system. Once this flag is on, only this feature will be available for the users available or maybe located in the Europe. And once this feature flag is off, that particular flag is not available for them. So this is how evolution context do his job. Then we have some hooks. So hooks is nothing but, let's say you have some logics that can be executed before evaluation, after evaluation, or maybe when something fails. Okay, so there are lots of hooks that's available in open feature. Maybe we can start with the before hook. So before hook actually work before the flag evaluation even happen. So if you have a condition before, let's say the evaluation even happen, before that you want to do something. Okay, so these kind with help of these kind of hooks you can write some logics to perform. Then we have after hook. Let's say once evaluation goes succeeded, after that you want to do something, or maybe you want to perform an action, you can write those action for the after hook. Then we have some error hook. Let's say whatever evaluation you perform that goes fail because of any conditions. On that time, that error hook to trigger. And then we have the finally. So let's say if every evaluation error, maybe even the after error, every hook that goes succeeded, then the finally hook will call. So that's how with the help of hook you will get a lot of more features to the open feature to get your deployment very seamlessly. Now we have providers. So provider is the, I would say, the main heart for the open feature, because this is the particular stuff that sit in between the your open feature SDK and your flag system. So what I mean by that, when we deploy or when we integrate open feature with any of our application, we need to integrate with the open feature SDK. We will discuss the code part later, but just take it as like a piece of the code that's actually talking with your application. And at the same time, whatever feature you're applying, that goes through the flag system. So whenever you want to apply, when you want to toggle anything, let's say there is a you want to show some specific feature to the base, the client base out of Europe. On that time, what you will do is you will go and you will change that feature to the your flag system that's called as flag rs service. Okay, so you change anything here with the help of your provider, it actually update to the your application, and that updates go from open feature SDK. So when Anshika said you, it's a standardized way. So how it is standardized way? Because you only update the your flags to the flag provider, or I would say the flag system. And apart from that, your open feature SDK, your application, that will remain constant. Okay, so you don't have to touch your application each and every time you are flagging or you are changing your flags. Only you need to take care from your flag management system. So that's how beautiful it is. Then we have some events. So let's say you want to poll a event whenever any alert, you want to basically alert something. So if you see in this code, like I'm adding a condition, do something when the provider's flag settings change. Okay, so maybe you're changing any provider settings, so you wanted to get a trigger on that time. Okay, you have changed this particular settings. Or maybe when provider fails with the error state, so on the time if you want to get a particular event, so this particular event module do the stuff for you. So that's all about the components we do have. But how you will get started with open feature? So when I say getting started with open feature, so first thing you will need is open feature SDK. Okay, so here if you see, I'm importing import open feature SDK from open feature server SDK. So that's how we have imported open feature. Now I am just starting with my provider. So as we talked, provider is the stuff that actually talk with our feature management system. It gets the evaluation and then it talks to our application code. Okay, so that's why we are just adding our provider. The provider you can choose according to your need. Maybe if you want to go with the provider that's not open source, you can go for Logically or other stuff. Okay, and then we are just constructing a particular client for the provider. So later on, with help of this open feature client, we will be talking to our application at the same time with our flag management system. Okay, if we just put it all together, whatever terminologies we have talked about, so how the request actually goes and how we get a response from our feature management system, this particular diagram will help you to do that. Okay, so maybe let's understand it like this. You have your application code in place. Now you are requesting a particular feature that needs to be changed or that needs to be applied. Okay, once that is done, the first thing happens like feature flag status request. The request goes to evaluation API. That's what we heard before. So if we see before, the first traction or the first hook, like the first request goes to evaluation API, that will check how your feature is enabled or disabled. Okay, and what particular things you are passing to your feature. So evaluation API will evaluate your all of the instance of that particular request, and it will check, do it have any evaluation context in that. Okay, so evaluation context means like you do have any variable, any data or something like that. Once it's having that, it's collect that, and it will check for the hooks. If you have applied any pre-hook or maybe before after hook, it will check those and it will pass the same info to provider. Now provider part is to retrieve the flag value from the flag management system. So what's the flag value that you have applied? You applied for the on, off, or true, false, or maybe you have applied or any specific location, any user ID, something like that. It will check that, and accordingly it will send the again the flag evolution info to the provider. Once we have the flag evolution info, we just forward it to evaluation API, and from there to application code. It do applies to our application, and we get the result just by enabling and disabling a feature. So that's how like everything do work. So whenever like you're running or maybe you're working with open feature, you if you get any error, you should know where you have to, which particular component you have to check. Maybe if your evolution is not happening, that's a you might get the error in evolution API. And maybe if later on you are not having any issues with the evolution, but the flag management system is not able to appropriate your flag values, then you need to check that. Else might be your application is not behaving well. So that's how this particular whole process can help you to troubleshoot the issues when you are working with open feature. Now we're gonna just jump to the particular demo that we have built for you. So what it's having is like we do have some Kubernetes manifest. That's where we have one CRs that written for open feature that we are syncing with ArgoCD here. So ArgoCD will take control over the Kubernetes cluster. That's where we have deployed the open feature operator. So when I say open feature operator, so it's again a bunch of like the open feature and flag d. It do have a flag system also, it do have open feature also, and it will you can integrate that same provider with help of that. Okay, so we gonna understand the same thing. I'll gonna show you first like how the infrastructure look like, and then maybe we're gonna play with the feature flags. So I'm sure you must be most interesting now, because we're gonna make your deployment sing with the on off some toggles. So yep, let's move forward to the demo part. See here, we do have one feature flag, that's the EKS cluster that's running here. And if you see, like we do have a three node cluster. If I go for the next part, then we do have one ArgoCD that's we have deployed over this cluster. So currently in this ArgoCD, we do have only currently one application that's here, and that's coming from this particular repo. Okay, let me show you more details on this. So this particular application is coming from another repo that's I have deployed, or maybe it's on my Git. So this particular repo do have one YAML for now, just for a quick demo. And if you see this YAML, so let's start from the very starting. So what we are doing, we have created a CR basically for you. So that's the feature flag CR. And in this particular CR, you will see there are two components are there. The one is for the UI, that's the front end. Okay, so for the UI, we have set some flags, that is new welcome message. So that particular application is having already some welcome message that's shown at the top. At the same time, if you want to change the toggle or the variants of the same, you can just set the default variant value. It's on or off, whatever you want to set to it. Okay, we do have some color on the same UI. So if you want to change the color at the real time for the users, you can do with the help of different variation of the color. Let's say if you want to set up blue, red, green, yellow, or whatever it is, you can do that. So that's all about the front end. But how about the back end? Because maybe you have some requirement like I want to do some feature flag changes from the backend side. On that time, what you have to do is you will come to the backend feature flag, and in backend side you can see we do have here this is the app flags, and that's where the backend application flags are managed. Okay, so in backend flag application, if you see here, if any user is logged in with @fast.com, that's a URL, or maybe that's a email, a domain you can say. If they are logged in with that, that particular application should behave differently. Or else, if users are logged in with @fast.com, they should be able to see yellow color on the UI. Okay, so I'm gonna just get you through with the same application that's running here for now. And if you see currently, we do have written here, welcome to Fast, Fibonacci as a service. At the same time, it's actually creating a Fibonacci for the particular digits you are selecting. So let's say I'm going for the 40 and then I'm starting this. You will see it will take a lot of milliseconds to calculate this for now. Okay, so it's calculated around 4036 millisecond, and even if I do rerun it, it will take similar time. Okay, yep, that's true. And as we saw, like if I log in with a particular user, let's say maybe I'm using the same email, that's goes at first.com, and if I do login from the same user, the UI color should change to yellow. At the same time, I should be able to see there the code logic should behave differently. So if you see, like the code logic now should give the results in minimum time. So if I click, we are just able to get the result in so less time, even 40 millisecond, or like so. Even you can change the flag value and then you will be able to get the result in so minimum time. So that's how easy it is. I'm just logging out from this user, and we're gonna change, we're gonna feature, or maybe we're gonna flag some real time values to it, and let's see how it behaves. So for doing so, what I'm doing is I've just logged in with the cluster, and I'm just changing to my feature flag value. So let's say from the color side, I want to have the red color for the YAML. And once I'll be changing this, okay, after changing, if you see the color to this deployments, it comes to red because previously it was blue. And if you see here, we just changed from blue to red. So that's how easy it is. And at the same time, if I log in from the different user, the color should be the same that we have passed in that particular feature flag. Okay, so that's how easy it is, and we can change like a lot of stuff. Let's say if you want to change this particular message, you can do that. If you want to change how it behaves for particular certain users, you can do that, as we are doing for the emails or particular users IDs. Okay, so it's just nothing, you have to write some CRs, just rules, and you're good to go. So I guess sounds so cool to me, and you can do a lot more stuff with the feature flags. If you, like you are more, you get more hands-on, you get more comfy with it. And it's not ending here, you can integrate a lot of observability tool coming in. So maybe you can have your eBPF metrics, you can have hotel integrated with that. From the kernel itself, you can take all of the, like how it's behaving. At the same time, we do have here the operator. So you can go to the feature flag operator, you can check the logs, how your flag D system is behaving. If when you're applying the flags, actually how you are able to see the logs is efficiently or not. Okay, so there are a lot of stuff that needs to be figured it out. So if I show you quickly, like we do have currently the operator that's deployed here. So when you deploy the operator, you just get these all component with it. Let me just show you quickly. So if you see, like we do get this pod open feature operator controller manager. At the same time, you have two particular pods running in that, and it's do have one webhook, one controller manager, that's the controller manager, control over the metrics, how it should behave and all. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's all for this particular short demo, and we are good to go. At the same time, if you are like more towards the open, like basically the ArgoCD, and you want to manage the feature flag from the GitHub side, you can just go to your YAML. Maybe you can just change it across, and then you can push it. So once you'll be able to push it, you will be able to see like whatever toggle you are changing here with the help of ArgoCD sync, and it will be just deployed to your pods, and then you will be able to see the changes live on the same services. So
That's all from our end. Thank you for joining us. Let's connect. Bye bye.
yep, see ya.